Hi guys, it's Paula and I hope you are doing well. This is going to be my first update for Pan That Palette. Yay! I'm so excited! Oh, it's always so exciting at the start of a year for Pan That Palette. I just have no sense of what is to come because I'm eternally optimistic and I've just been loving the palette so much. Of course, in a few months, I will probably be singing a very different tune, but for now, I'm just so in love with everything. So let's get into it. I have been panning a baby Pan That palette and a Pan That palette for the past month. The baby Pan That palette I've been working on for a year and a month now. And that is just a palette of 5 pans or less that I work on from start until finish. And then as soon as I finish it, I pick a new baby Pan That palette to work on. It's a long-term project. I have so far finished 2 baby Pan That palettes, and I've been doing this project for a long time. I often do not prioritize these products over a lot of the other eyeshadows I'm working on, but I'm making very slow and steady progress on it. The baby Pan That palette that I've been working on, of course, is my Smashbox Full Exposure Duo. This is just a little duo that I received in an Ipsy Glam bag a million years ago, and I've kind of been falling in love with it all over again for a couple of reasons. But first, let me show you a picture of what this looked like last month. Okay, and this is what it looks like now. I'm not really going to be able to tip it up. I will insert a photo of what we are talking about here, but as you can see, it's crumbly. And I love what that crumbliness is doing for that shadow. So first of all, this is a duo of 1 matte and 1 shimmery golden shade. The matte is like a mid-tone brown, and the shimmery golden shade is just a very wearable gold. And as you can tell, well, as I hope you can tell, I have pan and side pan on the matte shade, but nothing on the shimmer shade yet. What I did have going on for many months now was these weird like lumps of hard pan. And I didn't feel at the time that it was really affecting my ability to get an impactful look on this eyeshadow. But in the past month, those lumps of hard pan kind of like fell off the pan, like slid off the pan and separated. And so I've just been kind of using those lumps as eyeshadow, and it looks beautiful. I used this in an eye look the other day and I didn't want to take my makeup off. I just thought it looked so gorgeous. It was just truly beautiful. I loved it very much, but yeah, it's making it hard for me to show you because those crumblies are just kind of balancing on top, and this is definitely looking very well loved at this point. I have no idea when it's going to happen, but I do hope to one day hit pan on that shimmer shade. All right, let's move on to my Pan That palette. This is a project that started on January 1st and goes until December 31st. The Pantastic Ladies do a theme every year for Pan That palette, and the theme this year was called Size Matters. You could define that into whatever you wanted to, but that was the theme. And this theme was created by Jessica. I totally forgot to mention that last month, but Jessica Lee is the creator of the Size Matters Pan That palette concept, which was something we had talked about doing many years ago, and it got scrapped, and I'm really glad it's back. So the palette that I decided to do for Pan That palette this year is my e.l.f. 100 pan palette, because oh my goodness, there is nothing else in my makeup collection that even comes close to 100 pans. The next largest palette I have are my Morphe 35 pan palettes. So 100 pans is a beast. But before I show you what it looks like today, let me show you a picture of what it looked like last month. Okay, and this is what it looks like today. It's hard to fit it in this frame. Okay, so there is only 1 new pan for this first month. I don't want to say only, because if you guys know how long it takes me to hit pan on anything, it's significant when I do hit pan on something. However, it's not because I'm panning better with this palette. It's because the pans in this palette are relatively shallow. There isn't a ton of product, and that's kind of why I chose this palette for this year, was I felt like I needed a win. Like, I got, the theme for last year was tiny pans, and I thought I was gonna just fly through that palette, and it was so hard to make any progress on that Viseart Petite Pro 2, even though it looked like the tiniest palette on earth. I just couldn't get anywhere with it. I just kept using it and using it. So after the struggle of last year with that itty bitty tiny 8-pan palette, I thought, you know what? We're gonna go with this. Plus, I need some points for my low buy bank, and this is a practical way to achieve the goal of getting some points, because there's just not a lot of product in each of these pans. So each time I finish a pan, I will get a point for my low buy bank, and I need that. So the new pan for this month is down here, this purple shade. This particular shadow was also in my 50 Shades of Purple project, so I decided to try and focus in on that shadow with the hopes of hitting pan on it, which was my goal for that project. These other 4 pans here were pans that I had prior to the start of this project in January 1st. I have expanded the pan on this dusty pink shade a bit. I'm really close to hitting side pan up here. So this pan definitely got a little bit bigger as well, and this is my new pan. All right, I have so much to talk about with this palette. First of all, I received a request to talk about eye looks that I did using this palette, so I thought I would try that, but I figured I would try to talk about how I'm using this palette in conjunction with other eyeshadows I have in projects, as well as showing you eye looks that I'm creating or panning during the month. So since I have already mentioned this pan right here, I will talk about that eye look. I did a lot of purple during the month of January. Not only did I want to hit pan on that purple shade for 50 Shades of Purple, but as many of you know, I also wanted to hit pan on the purple in my Pat McGrath La Vie and Rose palette. So I paired those two together. Sometimes I would throw this in the transition shade, sometimes I would just blend this out. This actually worked really well in the crease and blend it out above. And then I would put this purpley shade all over my eyelid. It was easy, it was fast. I really liked it, and I did hit pan on both of those shades. So I feel like the strategy kind of paid off. I'm happy with the fact that I have a pan in this palette and a new pan in that purple shade. So that was good. The other shadow that I decided to focus on during the month of January was my MAC Cranberry. I still do not have pan on the shade. I worked on this a lot less than the purple shade. I think I did the purple look 17 times over the past month, so the majority of the month went to that purple look, and then this was probably 7 or 8 times during the month. I have to tell you that this is a really specific shade, and I kind of have to be in the mood. I feel like purple is basically a neutral for me. I could wear purple basically every day, but this, oh, the power just went out again. Well, I don't want to get my hopes up, but I think I'm going to keep talking. That's a first. I've never had a power outage in the middle of filming a video, so there you go. Yeah, so what was I talking about? I have no idea. I probably used this less than 10 times during the month, probably like 5, 6, 7, somewhere around there. So hopefully the dip expanded a little bit, but I played around with finding different shadows to work with this, and the one I used the most often was this kind of reddy orange one down here. So I used that probably 3 or 4 times, and then one time I also used this shade right here, which I have to say I've kind of fallen in love with that shade. I'm wearing it today in my crease and transition area, and this shade reminds me so much of New Wave from the ABH Subculture palette. I am so excited to have discovered that, and I'm really looking forward to using this shade more and more. But basically I either paired this one or this one with this MAC Cranberry eyeshadow. The third eyeshadow that I decided to bring in the mix was not one that I mentioned at last month's update or intro video, but I wanted to sneak in a couple uses, and I'm wearing it today, and that is the Sephora eyeshadow single in All That Glitters. It's just a shimmery, glittery gold, and this is in my June Bride project pan. and I wanted to see if I can get a few uses in for this. So I probably used this eyeshadow 3 times in the past month, and what I really enjoyed doing with this eyeshadow was taking that mustardy shade again and throwing it in my crease, and then I take the shade called Buns from my Jekyll & Hill and Morphe palette, and I kind of blended that out in the outer corner and my lower lash line, and then I have this all over my eyelid, and I really enjoyed that combination as well with this mustardy shade. That was a huge, wonderful find over this past month. I did make some other discoveries in this past month playing around with this palette. First of all, I've been using this shade down here mixed with this shade right here as a face highlight almost every single day. I do have other highlighters I need to be working on, but I kept reaching for it since I had this palette out anyways, and I just kept going back and mixing those 2 shades together as a face highlight. I'm not wearing it today, but I kept mixing those 2 shades together as a face highlight, and that worked out really well. I really like the look of that, and I do have dips going in both of those. I could definitely see myself having pan in those very soon. I've also been using these 2 matte brown shades as brow powders. Again, I just take my brow brush and bounce back and forth between the 2 pans, and I put those in my brows. I'm wearing them today. It's a little bit warm, but I feel like it kind of works. And again, I feel like I'm really close to hitting pan on them, especially this one. It has the biggest dip. And then blush. I have been using this as my blush a ton over the past month. And what I basically have been doing is I take my blush brush, which is the Real Techniques like tulip shaped blush brush. It's kind of long and pointed at the end, and I just kind of bring it here with these like 3 peachy pinky shades, and then I just kind of run it like right here down the middle of this hot pink or pink row, and I've been using that as a blush. I don't feel like doing that has caused any like real signs of progress or like major dip showing, but I've just been having a ton of fun multitasking this palette in that way, and I need to get back to using other blushes as blush. I've also been using this matte cream shade to set my eyeshadow primer every now and then, and I had a dip going on this before, and I think I could have pan on that by next month. And the other thing, the final thing, these blacks down here. These blacks have been making me nervous because it's basically like half a row of black shadow. And towards the beginning of the month, I told myself, you got to start putting black in your eyeshadows. And so I really made a concerted effort to start reaching for these blacks and just doing like a touch in the outer corner of every eye look every day, just like a little spot of black. And I was reaching for this shade down here. Well, I got sick of it really quick and I've kind of abandoned that, but I do think that if I'm gonna make any progress on those black eyeshadows, I am going to have to just every day, a little bit every day in the outer corner of my eye look and just chip away at it. So I need to get back to doing that. Is there anything else? I did use this shimmery brown right here a couple of times as like an outer half of my eyelid look or an eyelid look. I do like shimmery browns on my eyelids. I think they're kind of flattering for my eye color and all that. So I did try that a few times, but that doesn't look that well loved or used yet either. And that's about it. So I feel like this was a really productive month of discovery for this palette. I learned a lot. Finding out how much I love the shade down here was probably the highlight of the month, and realizing that this palette works for highlight, setting my eyeshadow primer, blush, brows, and that I can really multitask this in a lot of ways just really makes me so happy. I do think I have set myself up for a few good pans for next month, like more than one, which I'm super excited about. I think it's possible I could have 5 pans by next month. That's kind of a lofty hope, but a girl's got a dream, right? Okay, so aside from my goal of trying to hit some more pans for next month in those shades, I have also picked out some more eyeshadows that are in other projects that I would like to focus in on. So I thought I would show you those right now. First of all, I'm gonna continue working on Max Cranberry. This eyeshadow is in my Do Japan My Battleship project, and I would really like to hit pan on this. I would really like to hit pan on this. There is a really good dip going. So I'm going to keep working on this. Hopefully the month of February will inspire me to reach for this more. We'll see. I would also like to keep working on this gold shade from Sephora, which is in my June Bride project pan. I have a usage goal for this eyeshadow and I still have a long way to go. I think I still have like 15 uses, but I do like this eyeshadow. I think it's very pretty, and I like that mustardy shade, as you know, so I would like to keep working on this. I've also brought in a ColourPop Super Shock shadow. This is the Birthday Wish shadow from their 4th anniversary, and this shadow is in my 50 Shades of Purple project, and I've only used it a few times in the last 9 months that I've been doing this project, and my goal is just to hit pan. So I would like to try and hit pan on this shade. It's just kind of a beautiful taupey shade with pink shimmers, and you guys know I am all about taupe right now. Like, I could live, breathe, eat, and drink taupe all day long. It's just the only color I really want to wear. So I figured now would be a good time to work on this. And then finally, I know I'm kind of overwhelming myself, but I have big goals for a short month. But finally, I would like to do some damage to this palette right here. This is another 50 Shades of Purple palette product. This is the Classic Cutie from MAC. And I have a usage goal on 4 of the pans in this palette. I think the pans are, I could be wrong, but I think it's this, 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 and this. I'm not sure. I'll have to double check my notes. I think all of them are supposed to be used 10 times each. So I would like to hit my goal on at least one of those shadows for this month and get the 10 use goal on one of them. I think that's enough. I think that's more than enough. So that is everything. Thank you guys so very much for watching. I do appreciate it, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. I feel like purple is basically a neutral for me. I could wear purple basically every day, but this, oh, the power just went out again.
Flashlight?
Flashlight.
Oh no. The flashlight.
Where is your flashlight?
Wait, is it right there? Found it.
Oh!
Daddy.
Why are you calling for Daddy? Oh, come on.
I heard something creepy, Mom.
You heard something creepy?
Yeah, I did.
That was just the fridge. The ice maker makes that noise.
No. Sound like fun.
Yeah, it's one of the appliances in the kitchen. It's a microwave or the fridge.
Okay.
If you didn't know, we're expecting a huge snowstorm to start tonight, so I
Yeah.
guess a power outage is just gonna come with it.
Whoa.
Oh!
Finally.
Oh, they're just playing with us. They're just messing with us. I'm standing here holding this palette up like a statue.
That's the light.
You got some light haze?
Yeah, for my iPad. Play some video games.
Okay. I'll just stand here with this palette in my hand. It's cool. We're expecting like a foot of snow tonight. Oh. Is it gonna stay on? Is it gonna stay on?